A simple idea, an imminent problem. You have learned not to indulge in the past and not to worry too much about the future. This kind of life teaches you to mainly live in the present. Cherish every day, every hour and every moment. The sound of the front door opening and closing woke you up completely. Heavy footsteps came from the corridor, a man's footsteps, followed by Mrs. Cartwright's voice, which was lower than the one she spoke to the girls. Her tone was professional but welcoming. "Good morning, doctor. Thank you for coming so soon. Today is Wednesday, physical examination day. Doctors come every week to check the girls for any signs of illness. This is one of Mrs. Cartwright's strictest rules and also one of the reasons why her house maintains its reputation. In many brothels, diseases were rampant, causing devastating consequences for both women and their customers. Here, any girl who shows symptoms will be immediately suspended and receive treatment. The cost is high in the short term, but it can ensure the long-term survivability of the enterprise. After you finish cleaning the last cup, carefully put it away. The arrival of the doctor means a change in the pace of the day. Most of the morning will be spent in Mrs. Cartwright's private living room, which has been temporarily converted into a consultation room. Each girl will be received individually. The results were recorded in a small notebook, which Mrs. Cartwright kept locked in her desk. They take the rag back to the kitchen, where Mrs. Winters is supervising Bates to prepare the vegetables. Carrots and onions are being chopped up to prepare the stew for noon. The fresh earthy scent blends with the yeast flavor of the fermented dough. Living room. You go and tell Mrs. Winters. Ready to help here before the doctor comes. She raised her head from checking Bates' Waltonshire. It's not necessary. He went on dates with Josephine first, and then with Lily. If you want, you have time to do the laundry. Personal clothes are washed separately. Every girl is responsible for her private belongings. The landlord only accepts bed sheets, towels and large items. So once a week, usually before taking a bath on Wednesday, you need to wash your personal belongings. The clothes, underwear and stockings used for classes every month. You take the basket out of the small kitchen cabinet and take it to the dishwasher at the back of the house. There is a stone floor and a large sink here, making it cooler. You pump cold water into a copper basin and then add a pot of hot water from the stove to drive away the cold. The physical properties of the washing are satisfactory. The hands move rhythmically in the water, transform filth into purity. You work method lie, rubbing the soap onto the fabric, wiping it with your fingers and rinsing it thoroughly. The water has become murky. Tiny soap bubbles capture rainbow-colored light. This quiet and necessary task gives you time to think. The visit of a doctor always provokes deep thought. It reminds us of the risks in life. These diseases can damage a woman's body, cause pain, disfigurement and eventually lead to death. You've also seen this kind of thing happen to others. Persistent coughing that is getting worse and worse. A suspicious unhealed wound. These signs indicate that a girl will soon disappear from her home. If she is lucky, she usually goes to a charity hospital. If not, she will have to endure the pain alone. So far, you've been quite lucky. Be careful. Ms. Cartwright insisted that certain preventive measures had been taken for all customers. Although it was not foolproof, it was still better than doing nothing. Weekly checks were conducted to detect problems early when they could still be treated. However, this kind of luck can't last forever. Few women can live in this industry for several years without contracting any illness. This is a well-considered adventure, weighing the possibility of going hungry and the possibility of getting sick in a more decent job. In this case, you need to take out the last piece of cotton yarn and twist it hard to remove the excess water. The muscles of the forearm bend along with the movement, which is a pleasant feeling of strength and ability. Your hands, although rough with soap and water, are still relatively soft and smooth, which is another necessary condition for this job. Customers don't want their calloused hands to come into contact with their skin. Holding the damp cloth, you walk to the small yard behind the kitchen. A clothes line extends from the house to the pillar by the wall. You carefully hang the clothes up and fix them with wooden stakes to prevent the wind from blowing. The air is very cold but very dry. If the snow under threat doesn't come, the weather will be very dry. The yard is very small, with only a small rectangular stone slab. In the flower pots, There are a few struggling plants, but they face the sky. After the restrictions of the house, you spent a little time breathing in the outside air. It is not new by any rural standards. The air in London is always polluted by smoke and fog, but it is cooler and cleaner than indoors. You raised your face, feeling the faint winter sunlight shining on your skin. A rare moment of pure physical pleasure, asking for nothing but the sensation of lightened air. Your breathing naturally deepens, and your chest expands more fully. It feels great. Give yourself some time. The back door opened and Lily stuck her head out. The doctor is almost done for me. The next one is you, she said, and then noticed your raised face. Is there anything interesting in the sky? You smile and lower your gaze. Everything remains the same: sunshine, clouds, and freedom. She gave a soft snort and understood the half-minus joking meaning. All right. Come in before you freeze. Mrs. Winters is boiling water to make tea and cooking the steamed buns you like. In the cold yard, the promise of warm food and drinks is alluring. You followed Lily in and felt the heat from the kitchen, enveloping you like an embrace. When the blood circulation returns to the cold fingers, this contrast will make your skin feel a pleasant stinging sensation. The kitchen is the center of the house, the warmest room. Everyone is attracted in their spare time. As noon drew near, it was busy preparing food. The chef was standing by the big table, rolling out the dough to make meat patties. Her strong arms were always sprinkled with flour. Mrs. Winter was sitting in the chair that informally belonged to her in the corner, knitting a sock with fine stitches. Becky moved among them, picking up things, learning through observation and guidance. You took a cup of tea from Lily's hand and held it warm in your hands. Steam rose, carrying a fragrant and slightly bitter aroma. You gently blew across the water surface, watching the ripples spread in the concentric circles. This simple physical principle is comforting. Actions and reactions, causes and effects are predictable in an unpredictable world. How's that? You asked Lily quietly, referring to the exam. She shrugged her shoulders. As always. Old hands, few questions. In the book, everything becomes clear. She hesitated for a moment and then added in a lower voice. But Josephine didn't. I heard Mrs. Cartwright tell her that she would take at least a week off. Take the medicine 3 times a day. You nodded without the slightest surprise. Josephine has been looking very haggard recently, with dark circles under her eyes and a constant cough. There's nothing serious yet. It might just be the beginning of some treatable problems. But this reminds all of you that there's a sword hanging over you. The bell rang in front of the house. Mrs. Cartwright called the next girl for a check-up. That's you, said Lily, taking a bite of her currant bread. Don't worry. He's in a good mood today. There are hardly any stamps. You put down the tea and sighed regretfully. It has just reached the optimal drinking temperature. But the doctor won't wait. His time is very precious. Several similar institutions all need his services. Cross the house and head for Mrs. Cartwright's living room. You will automatically tidy up your clothes and straighten your hair. Work habits become deeply rooted after 2 years. Always perform well, even in clinical examinations like medical tests. The living room has been renovated for the doctor's visit. The usual papers and decorations on that small redwood table have all been removed, and it is now covered with a clean white cloth. Above were the tools commonly used by doctors: a stethoscope, small glass bottles containing various medicines, a notebook and a pencil. The comfortable armchair was pushed to the back to make room for a straight-backed wooden chair so that the best light could be captured from the window. Dr. Harrison is about 50 years old, with grizzled hair and a neat beard. Unlike many doctors serving in this field, he neither treats women with contempt nor shows unnecessary rudeness. His attitude is professional and his touch is clinical rather than punitive. He wore a wedding ring and once mentioned that his child was going to college. Sometimes you may wonder how his respectable family would view him being with a woman like you. Ah, Mary, he said, washing his hands in the basin and raising his head. How are you feeling? Are there any problems to report? This is his standard opening line. Admit that you are a human being, not merely a corpse awaiting examination. A small courtesy is more important than it should be. Very good, thank you, doctor, he replied. Don't worry, he nodded and dried his hands with a clean towel. Okay. Hote, shall we continue then? Mrs. Cartwright sat carefully in the corner as a companion, recording the examination results. But her position was not to observe the actual examination process. In an environment where it is very easy to lose one's dignity, this is yet another tiny bit of dignity. The exam itself was brief and thorough. Breathing, heart rate, throat and eyes examination, followed by a more intimate examination, quick and objective. His touch protected by thin gloves. During this period of time, you have learned to dear to yourself and think about other things. The book is waiting for you in your room. When all this is over, you will taste the flavor of the currant bread, the feeling of the sunlight shining on the face in the yard. Everything seemed to be in perfect order. He said at last, "Take a step back and take off your gloves. Keep it as it is." He took notes in his notebook and then nodded to Mrs. Cartwright. Mrs. Cartwright stood up and led you to the door. In the corridor, she whispered, "Please let Sir in next." Before returning to the room, the examination makes you feel a bit empty, as always. Not because of any pain or discomfort, but because your body functions have been simplified into a set of body functions that need to be evaluated and judged. It is necessary to protect yourself and also to protect others. However, what followed was emptiness. You go back to the kitchen, tell Sarah the news and get your herbal tea back. This sturdy cup feels great in your hand and helps. You return to your body after a clinical disconnection. You took a long sip and then reached for a freshly baked small round bread. It's still a bit hot. Against the backdrop of a gentle dough, the water flows full and sweet. The clock in the corridor has struck 12 o'clock at noon. The morning passed quickly, just like any other busy day. Soon, the house will enter the afternoon mode. There might be customers at 1 o'clock. Most of them are merchants, who are extending their lunch break. Regular customers know that quiet time means more attention and less waiting. After you finish your tea and bread, brush off the breadcrumbs on your skirt. We have time to check out your room before the afternoon starts. An opportunity to check your appearance. Perhaps change into something more suitable for serving customers than your morning dress. When you climb upstairs, the stairs wind beneath your feet. This house has entered a quiet state at noon. A short break between morning housework and afternoon work. Even the sounds outside seemed very quiet, as if the entire street was breathing collectively. Your room welcomes you with its familiar shape and smell. It's small. Yes, sparse by the standards of affluence, but to some extent, it's still yours. The bed where you start your day. A small box for clothes and some items. This window offers a limited but precious view of the rooftop sky. You saw yourself in the small mirror, your cheeks slightly flushed from the warmth of the kitchen, and your hair was still very neat. You look very ordinary, just a young woman in simple clothes. No different from the thousands of people walking on the streets of London. Nothing can clearly show that you are what society calls decadent. There are no red characters and no obvious signs of moral judgment. This thought made a faint smile appear at the corner of your mouth. All this hypocrisy sometimes still shocks you. This society that condemns women like you creates the conditions that make this kind of life indispensable, and then provides customers who make it profitable. For philosophical thinking won't keep you going throughout the entire afternoon. Open your chest and consider what to wear. Not the best thing. All these will be left until the wealthy customers come in the evening, but it is one level higher than ordinary work clothes. You choose a blue dress made of cotton instead of wool, with slightly fashionable lines and a little lace on the collar. It's decent enough. Don't worry. Attractive enough. Change is very fast. You are very proficient in getting dressed and undressing. This new dress fits your skin very comfortably. The fabric is lighter than the sturdy work clothes. Check your hair. Add a few hairpins where needed. Gently pinch your cheeks and color them. There are no cosmetics yet. These will also be left for the evening. Daytime customers hope to see a more natural look, as this is an accidental encounter rather than a commercial transaction. Are you ready? Now sit on the edge of the bed for a while. Take deep breaths slowly. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth, mentally preparing yourself for the transition from personal to professional. The difference between the two is very important. A protective boundary helps to retain some of one's core self in the demands of work. Your body feels relaxed and your mind is clear. When you use it, the bed comfortably supports you, and your weight slightly sinks onto the mattress. This connection with the material world, with the solid reality of objects and sensations, helps you concentrate. You stroke the blanket beside you with your hand and feel its slightly rough texture with your palm. A true gift. Now the sound of the front door opening and closing can be heard from downstairs. The sound in the corridor. Mrs. Cartwright's professional welcome. Annan responded in a low tone. The afternoon has already begun. You got out of bed and tidied up your clothes for the last time. Take the last deep breath. Fill your lungs completely, and then release slowly. When the air leaves you, your shoulders droop, the tension flowed away like water. You are ready now. When you pull the door handle, it is cool under your fingers. The corridor stretches out before you, the staircase leading down, where life continues its complex dance. Every step you take as you move forward is carefully considered. Your breathing is steady and even, your posture balanced and controlled. Just like that, relaxed and calm, you enter the afternoon, no matter what it brings. Your mind is stuck in the present. The wood of the handrail became smooth under the caressing of your dragging hand and shone brightly after countless similar trips. The houses around you are like living things, with their own rhythms and patterns. You will become a part of that pattern, flowing with it rather than fighting against it. Every breath matches its gentle pulse. Very good, very simple. That's it. In the coming day, move forward step by step. When you reached the bottom of the stairs, the living room was already occupied. Mrs. Cartwright stood by the fireplace, with one hand gracefully placed on the mantelpiece, speaking to a visitor. That man has his back to you. Judging from his posture, he is a middle-aged man, wearing a well-tailored but not ostentatious dark coat. It's very likely a businessman. You stopped at the door, waiting to be greeted. Mrs. Cartwright looked up at you and nodded slightly. Entry is permitted. Ah, now Mary is here, she said calmly. Hey, tonight we're going to discuss something that most history books tend to cover up. A life of a woman working in a brothel in Victoria. I know it sounds strange as a bedtime story, but to be honest, it's a forgotten history that tells the story of a real woman's struggle for survival. Oh, if you like these stories, I'm very grateful for your likes or subscriptions. I'm very curious about what you're listening to. So, leave a comment with your location and time. I'm always surprised that people all over the world fall asleep listening to this song. Okay, find a comfortable place. Take a slow, deep breath and immerse your body in what you are lying on. We're going back to Victoria and London. Believe me, when we're done, you'll be very grateful for that mattress. So, congratulations to you. You just woke up in London in 1857, at the height of the Victorian era. It's early morning now, perhaps 5 or 6 o'clock, and you haven't slept on the poster bed yet. You were lying on a slightly uneven horse-high mattress, covered with a thin wool blanket. The bed sheet is not clean. They are changed at most once a week, giving off the fresh scent of cheap lavender water, which cannot mask the musty smell beneath. The room is very cold. The coal used for the small fireplace was strictly rationed, especially in the morning. The walls are covered with faded floral wallpaper, with slight peeling in the corners where moisture has seeped in. A persistent smell wafted towards me. The soot from thousands of chimneys, the temperature nearby that gives off a unique smell of earth and sewage, and sweeter, more chemical things are all mixed together. Perfume and cosmetics are the trading tools here. You are in a room behind a brothel in the Hame Arcateria of London. It's not the worst institution, definitely not, but it's certainly not the most upscale one either. You share this small room with another woman. She is still sleeping on another narrow bed. Her breathing was deep and steady, moving slightly. You feel the spring water of the brook beneath your feet. Stretch your legs, point them at your toes, feel that tension, and then relax when you do it again. This is very good. Just take a break before the day starts. Outside, London has awakened. You can hear the sound of horse hooves stepping on pebbles. The rumbling of the wheelbarrows, and the first batch of street vendors began to shout their wares. Fresh bread. Someone shouted a few streets away. The sound echoed among the tall buildings. This is your life, Mary. They call you here, although it's not the name your mother gave you. You have been living in this house for almost 2 years, which has made you a fixed person. You have seen girls coming and going. Some people moved to better houses. Some people vanished and returned to their original state of poverty. Some people fall ill and never recover. Sit up slowly and let the blanket wrap around your waist. When you reach for the walsh, all hanging on the bedpost, and comfortably derail it over your shoulders, the floor is cold toward your bare feet. It feels much better like this. Between the two beds, on a small table, lay a broken ceramic water jug and basin. There is a thin layer of ice on top of the water inside. Winter in London is cruel. You break it with your fingers, and the cold water stings your skin before splashing onto your face. Its shock made you completely awake. You caught your breath for a while, and then calmed down again. Now, let's talk about how you ended your life in this room, because this story might not have been what you expected. You weren't kidnapped or sold into this industry as a child, although this happens to some girls, especially those very young ones. You were not lured or abandoned by some pregnant and penniless gentleman, although this is also a very common story. No, your path is more ordinary and, in many ways, better represents the majority of women engaged in this profession. You are a tailor, a good tailor. Your fingers are nimble and you have a sharp eye for details. But in London there are hundreds or even thousands of women like you, all competing for the same low-paying job. The British Quarterly once pointed out that compared with the hard work of apprentices in garment factories, factory work was merely a form of entertainment. They are not wrong. You have to work 14 hours a day, sometimes 16 hours. In dim light, your eyes will get very tired. Your fingers crack and bleed in winter. For what? A salary just enough to make ends meet. Now you lean back against the wall and feel its solid support behind you. Take a deep breath, turn your shoulders and feel a release of some tension. This is better. Relax now. You clearly remember that turning point. It was a winter 3 years ago. You haven't eaten anything for 2 days. The room you rent has no heating. You can see your breathing becoming blurry in the air because you work frantically to complete a commission that might be enough to cover a week's accommodation expenses. Your fingers weren't You kept pricked them with a needle, leaving tiny bloodstains on the fine white linen. A girl you know, Jane, has come to visit you. You once worked together. She looked different, healthier and more full. She was wearing a woolen dress, which, though not fashionable by the standards of the upper class, was clean, warm and well made. She brought food, real hot food, a steaming meat patty. She sat beside you, watching you gobble it up, trying not to look as desperate as you felt. "There's a place," she said at last. "A house near the Haymarket. This lady is strict and fair. No pranks, no cruelty. 10 meals a day, a decent bed, and a weekly physical examination." She paused and looked at your face. "You can earn a week's worth of money here in one night, Mary, and you won't sacrifice yourself for that." She pointed at the pile of needlework. You didn't answer immediately. You were raised in a devout family, but both of your parents passed away. Your brothers were looking for jobs everywhere, while you were right here, slowly starving to death, stitch by stitch. The weight of that memory weighs on you, and you feel as if you are sinking deeper into the mattress. Your breathing naturally slows down, just like this. The houses around you are beginning to wake up. You heard footsteps on the stairs, very heavy footsteps. It might be Mrs. Winters, the housekeeper. There was the sound of coal being shoveled. A fire broke out in the living room, where customers were waiting downstairs. The aroma of coffee wafted up. True coffee is not cherry coffee. This house takes pride in its small luxury items. Your roommate moved a little and muttered something in his sleep before turning over. "Lily, she's been called. She's a few years younger than you. Maybe 19 is 24 years older than you. His hair looks very beautiful. She once told you that she came from a factory in Manchester. The noise of the loom made her half deaf in one ear. It's time to get up. You have routines to do and expectations to meet. Mrs. Winters is very demanding and being late is intolerable." The lady, Mrs. Cartwright, said to her face that although the girls called her Katie when she was away, she hoped that everyone would go downstairs and freshen up before noon. This brothel operates according to a strict schedule. The morning is for cleaning, taking a bath and resting. There will be some regular customers in the afternoon, mainly business people who are extending their lunch break. The evening is the busiest time. The house is oft uncrowded with people until the early hours of the morning. But now, on this quiet morning, you should take your time. You reach out for the jar on the bedside table, take out a small piece of beeswax inside, and heat it up with your palm. Then apply it to the chapped lips. Another small luxury item. Mrs. Cartwright insisted that the girls take good care of themselves. Girls, you are promoting an illusion. She often says that gentlemen don't want to see the real life of professional women. Thinking of this, you will find yourself nodding slightly. Good advice, really. Most of the visiting men do not want reality. They want to daydream, to escape, to have something different from their respectable wives and families, to have something that makes them feel special, powerful, or just seen by others. Stand up, fully stretch your arms towards the low ceiling, and feel the pleasant tension of your muscles. Your pajamas, a simple cotton dress, nothing like the silk and lace candy you wear to work, landed on your ankles as you walked towards the small closet. During the day, when you were not having fun, you wear ordinary clothes, simple dresses and practical shoes. Nothing can make you different from other professional women on the streets of London. This is very important. Although brothels themselves are not illegal, openly soliciting customers is illegal. The police generally do not interfere with established enterprises, especially those that offer bribes, but caution is still necessary. You picked an dark blue dress that was a bit faded but well mended, and then put it on the bed. Dressing is a slow process. After that, you may need to quickly change clothes among different customers. Now, you can slowly enjoy its routine. First cane stockings, then petticoats, and then corsets. Don't tie it too tightly during the day. As long as it can form a structure, that's fine. When you get dressed, you think about what you are going to do today. Tuesday is usually quiet. There might be a few regular customers in the afternoon. Mr. Phillips, a bank clerk, comes here every other week mainly to talk about his stamp collection, or it might be a nervous young man who calls himself Smith and never stays for more than 15 minutes. Outside, as morning approaches, the sounds in London are getting louder and louder. A group of children ran under the window, and their screams drowned out the usual cave. There is a dog barking nearby. A street vendor began his melodious cries. There is a knife to sharpen. There is a knife to sharpen. All this normalness sometimes still makes you feel strange. This kind of life, this work condemned by society as the degeneration of women, takes place in the ordinary life of London. The baker delivers fresh bread to the brothel, just as he delivers bread to the decent boarding house next door. Coal miners, ice makers and so on all came and went, providing the same services as other families. Use it back by the bedside and take a short breath. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. Very good, very simple. That's it. Someone knocked gently at the door. Hot water. Miss, a voice came. Young Becky, all the maids. She's only 13 years old, which is too young for the main business of the family. Mrs. Cartwright found her begging in the street and was half-starved, so she took her in. Now she helps the butler, runs errands and sleeps in a small room next to the kitchen. A few years later, she might join the ranks of other girls, but now she is protected, which is much better than many children on the streets of London. Come in, Becky, you shouted. The door opened and the girl came in carrying a large pot of steaming hot water. Her face had just been washed and her brown hair was neatly braided. Good morning, Miss Mary, she said happily, pouring hot water into your basin. It's very cold today. Mrs. Winters said it might snow in a while. Thank you, Becky, you said to her with a smile. Have you had breakfast? Yes, Miss Cook made porridge with Taylor. If you want to have coffee, there is some in the kitchen and fresh bread as well. This is another thing that makes this house better. A regular diet and decent food. In the worst brothels, if business is not doing well, girls may go hungry or be fed leftovers that are almost not suitable for consumption. Here, Mrs. Cartwright understands that healthy girls earn more. Becky has left. You take a good wash with hot water and enjoy the warmth on your skin. Routine is gentle. Wash your face first, then your neck, arms and armpits, and finally rinse the most private areas quickly. In this house, there are 2 full baths every Wednesday and Sunday, the copper bathtub in the kitchen. This kind of situation occurs more frequently than many respected working class women can handle. In fact, after washing it, you will feel more like a human. You can comb your hair with a comb. When it's dark brown, thick or loose, you can comb it up to half of your back. During the day, you can simply twist it into a knot at the back of your neck. After that, for work, you will design it more carefully, perhaps using artificial hair to increase volume and curl. There is a small mirror on the dressing table. The silver back of the mirror is dotted with spots due to years of neglect. You glanced at your own reflection. Your face looks much better than when you were a tailor. Normal food fills the depressions on your cheeks and adds a healthier color to your skin. Although your eyes have changed, now I'm more cautious, more vigilant. What you have seen and know is something that innocent girl from the countryside has never thought of. You have escaped the moment of reflection. It's no use always thinking about these things. On the contrary, you focus on getting dressed and fasten your boots with your skilled fingers. Each movement is precise and familiar, blending into the rhythm of the task. Your breathing naturally slows down, stable and calm. Dressed neatly, you are ready to embrace a new day. Your first task is to make breakfast and then help clean the room. Every girl was assigned responsibilities. Your job includes cleaning the living room and polishing the glasses in the small bar area. Mrs. Cartwright thought that idle people would cause trouble, so even if they didn't serve customers, the dolls would be constantly busy. Lily finally came to her senses, yawned and sat up. "Good morning," she murmured, pushing aside the tousled hair on her face. "What time is it now?" "Just after 7 o'clock," you tell her. "Is there still plenty of time?" She nodded and raised her arms above her head. "Did you have that dream again?" She said it was the one about the seaside. "Mary, have you ever been to the sea?" "Once you said that you recalled a rare family trip a few years ago. In Britain when I was a child." "I want to go one day," said Lily, her voice brimming with longing. They said the air there is different, cleaner, you can breathe normally. This is the common dream of all the girls. Save up enough money to escape from London and start anew elsewhere. Some people have achieved it. I like it the most. Compared with the jobs of other women, the seemingly good income is still slipping away. Some are for accommodation and food, some for clothes and work necessities, and some for the small comforts and luxuries that make life bearable. You will, you tell her, even though you're not sure if you believe it. Keep saving something every week. Even if it's just a shilling, she nodded. But you all know how hard it is to save money. There are always some things. A to fetch that needs treatment, a torn piece of clothing that cannot be mended, and a friend in urgent need of help. There is always a way in life to deplete any tiny buffer you try to build. This thought makes you feel a moment of heaviness, and then consciously let it go. When exhaling, let your shoulders droop slightly. This is better. Relax now. See you downstairs. Tell Lily that she's finally up. Not too long. Mrs. Winters had been stomping her feet earlier. Do you know what this means? She is in a bad mood. Lily made a funny face to show her agreement. I need to hurry up. You leave the room and gently close the door behind you. A narrow corridor was dimly lit and covered with tattered carpets. There are another 4 bedrooms on this floor, all similar to yours. Downstairs are the public rooms, the living room for receiving customers, a small dining room, the kitchen and the servants' area at the back. The best bedroom reserved for Mrs. Cartwright's personal use is on the 1st floor so she can monitor the comings and go-outs. The house itself is narrow but tall, crammed among similar buildings on a small street. The exterior is well maintained. Clean curtains are hung on the windows and the doors are freshly painted. There is no sign indicating that it is a brothel. There are no red lights and no obvious signs. Customers learn it about coming here through word of mouth, sporadic advertisements in certain publications, and the networks of taxi drivers and hotel porters. But as you go down the stairs, the coffee smells stronger and stronger. Now it's mixed with toasted bread and fried bacon. In response, your stomach will rumble. The wooden staircase rustled slightly beneath my feet. A familiar and everyday sound. Your hand moves along the railing, feeling its smoothness, due to similar touches over the years. The house is now warm and the main rooms are all on fire. The persistent chill in London is fading, at least within these high walls. You can hear the voice of the butler coming from the kitchen. She's giving instructions to the chef. The normal sound for any family to start a day. And now, at this moment, it can almost be any house, any life. Morning has a rhythm that is soothing in its predictability, a pattern that leads you forward, step by step, through each day. You feel that your body has adapted to this rhythm. Your breathing matches its gentle rhythm, inhaling and exhaling, relaxed and calm. You stopped at the bottom of the stairs and spent a little time. Your muscles feel relaxed and comfortable. No matter what happens, your mind remains calm. But at this moment, there is a sense of peace because I'm still alive, because I'd spent another night in a city that has swallowed up so many people. The kitchen door is open. Warm light spills into the corridor. You can see the cook by the stove. When she is working, she is her broad back to you. Becky was setting the table in the corner where the servants and girls were having their meal. Mrs. Winters was reading a letter, her glasses resting on her nose, and her grizzled hair neatly tucked under a hat. A common scene, a moment of calm before the complex dance of the day begins. Take a deep breath, fill your lungs with air, and then release it slowly. Your shoulders droop, and tension flows away like water. You are ready now. You walk into the warm kitchen, into the mixed smell of coffee, bread and wood smoke, into the quiet chat at the beginning of the day. There is bacon being fried in the pan. Its rich aroma makes your mouth water. Your stomach made another expectant gurgling sound. "Good morning, Mary," said the cook, not looking back. She has an incredible ability to recognize everyone by their footsteps. "Sleep well." "Very good," you replied, helping Becky set the tableware. This routine is comforting. The weight of familiar plates and the precise placement of tableware. Your hand will move automatically, but your mind will wander, pleasant and unfocused. Outside, London continues to wake up. The church bells rang in the distance, marking the arrival of time. A commotion came from the street. Vendor, neighbor, child. The endless symphony of this city rises and falls like breathing. Like the waves by the seaside, coming and going, Lily dreams of visiting. Ups and downs, the gentle rhythm leads you, allowing you to immerse yourself more deeply in the familiar patterns of the day. Your body is relaxed and comfortable. When you walk around in the warm kitchen and prepare breakfast with others, your breathing is steady and slow. When the chef took the bread out of the oven, the smell of the fresh bread grew stronger and stronger. The crust was golden yellow and made a slight crunchy sound during the cooling process. The table in the kitchen is large and rectangular. Years of use have left scars on it. 8 chairs were rammed around the room, enough for the 5 girls who were working there now, as well as Mrs. Winters, Becky and cook to sit on. Mrs. Cartwright dined alone in her private living room, believing that the distance necessary for proper management should be maintained. You slide into the chair you usually sit on, feeling the smooth and worn wood beneath your feet. This seat has been polished for many years and has been polished by countless people before you. This continuity, the shared experience that transcends time, is heartening. You settled down and felt a solid support beneath your feet. The chef brought a large pot of porridge and placed it in the center of the table with a bang. "This is a very good porridge, thick and smooth. It is made with milk instead of water, and a spoonful of triethylene glycol is added to sweeten it." Another small luxury item marks that this house is higher than the most basic facilities. "Eat while it's hot," cook said. Her broad face flushed red from the heat of the stove. She's a widow in her 50s. After her husband died and she was penniless, she came here to work. Never comment on the nature of the business. Only able to cook, but not socialize with others. Make sure the girls eat well. Believe that good food is the foundation of health. You took a large bowl. Steam rose gently and the aroma was overwhelming. The first spoonful is warm and sweet on your tongue, with a smooth and comfortable texture. When you are hungry, you close your eyes and enjoy the simple pleasure brought by delicious food. Other girls gradually joined in. First up is Emily, a petite blonde who has been here for 6 months. Then there is Sarah. She's nearly 30 years old, older than most people. Her attitude is absurd and she has an astonishing talent for numbers. She helps Mrs. Cartwright keep accounts. Finally, there is Josephine, the latest one, still adapting to life. Her eyes are often red from private tears. Lily finally showed up. She hurriedly tied up her hair and looked half asleep and half awake. When Mrs. Winters began to serve her coffee, she quietly sat down on the chair beside you. "Almost missed breakfast," you muttered, handing her the porridge pot. "It's worth it to sleep in bed for an extra 10 minutes," she replied with a smile and a low voice. The coffee here is another kind of luxury. Real coffee, not the milk substitutes that most working class families make do with. It's rich and spicy, and sugar is added for those who like it to drink. You hold the cup in both hands, feeling its warmth seep into your fingers. It's good and comfortable. A rich aroma rises with the steam, intense yet slightly bitter. Breakfast is basically a quiet activity. There is an unwritten rule that does not allow business discussions so early. On the contrary, the conversation turned to ordinary topics. Weather. An interesting story yesterday. The butcher's delivery man slipped in the alley. Speculation about whether the green-haired craftsman's wife is pregnant again. They normal conversation. Daily affairs. This kind of conversation takes place every morning at thousands of breakfast tables in London. This is usually very important. It reminds us that despite the nature of the work, this is also a place where people live, eat, sleep and do their daily affairs. You feel relaxed at this ordinary moment. Your shoulders droop slightly. Your breathing is deep and even. Food stays warm in your stomach, providing energy for the rest of the day. You took another sip of coffee, savoring its rich bitterness. After breakfast, the daily trivialities began. This house has a strict schedule, and each girl is assigned specific tasks. This is not only to improve efficiency, but also because Mrs. Cartwright believes that routine and responsibility help maintain order and prevent chaos, which is a problem that plagues poorly managed institutions. Today, your morning tasks include cleaning the living room and polishing the glass in the small bar area. Simple and repetitive tasks keep your mind wandering while your hands remain busy. Such work gives a sense of contemplation. Regular movement, a gradual transformation from dust to cleanliness, from dullness to brilliance. The living room is the main public space of the house, where customers are first received. Its decorative style can be described as decent, with a touch of luxury. The solid furniture, made of dark wood, decorated with red velvet, has some wear on the arms, but is still very luxurious. The thick curtains match the color tone of the curtains. During the day, when the curtains are tied, the faint sunlight of London filters through the perennial soot. Several carefully selected paintings are hung on the wall, mostly landscapes. Among them, there is a classical scene with a slight hint, depicting a fairy in a cloak. It's not too obvious. Nothing could immediately make a bystander recognize that this was a brothel. This is intentional. Maintaining a decent appearance can protect everyone. If there were really police coming in, they wouldn't immediately see any evidence of the crime. It was just a private residence where several young women lived. It may be suspicious, but it is not necessarily illegal. You began to clean the room methodically. A feather duster is first used for larger surfaces, and then a slightly damp cloth is used for more detailed work. Familiar movements are gentle and only require sufficient attention to be occupied by your mind, without the need for deep concentration. When you are working, you can hear the sounds of the houses around you. Mrs. Winters was instructing Betsy on how to blacken the kitchen stove. The cook kept humming songs because she needed dough to make today's bread. When Lily was making the bed, she heard her light footsteps above her head. Ordinary family voices may belong to any family. On the mantelpiece were several ornaments, a porcelain shepherdess, a small copper bell and a pair of decorative jars. Dust them carefully, and put them in exactly the same position. Mrs. Cartwright would notice even the slightest movement. The clock ticks away, marking the peaceful rhythm of the morning. Through the window, you can see a part of life in London. A maid was beating the carpet in the small yard behind the next house. A cat was carefully choosing a path along the garden wall. A boy was running with a letter in his hand. You walk to the small bar counter in the corner of the room. It's not exquisite. It's just a cabinet with glasses and a few bottles of strong liquor. Most customers will be given a glass of cherries or brandy when they first arrive. A social etiquette. A way to simplify transactions. These glasses need to be polished. They developed the film in the air of London, even if it was not in use. Hold each one, breathe gently on it, and then make circular movements with the soft cloth. When the glass is wiped clean, it makes a soft squeaking sound, reflecting the dim light and the glittering surface. Repetitive actions are almost hypnotic. Circle after circle, your breathing naturally synchronizes with your movement. Start inward and finish outward. Slow and steady, your hands know how much pressure to apply. Clean effectively enough without damaging the delicate crystal. Time passes peacefully while you are working. The morning light gradually changed, drawing slowly moving patterns on the floor. Your mind drifts to pleasant and emending thoughts. Tomorrow afternoon, the books you read slowly in your spare time. Dickens' latest book was borrowed from Sarah, who got it from a customer who runs a bookstore. If business is good this week, you might buy a new hairband. Mary, this gentleman is just asking. After spending about an hour in a pleasant company, the visitor turned around and revealed a face that matched your initial impression. He was around 45 years old, with grizzled temples, and had the weathered complexion of someone who had been outdoors for a long time. His expression was very polite, but a little awkward. "Hi, new customer." "Well, hello, sir." You said this and gently bowed your knees. Don't be too deep. Just show appropriate politeness. Your voice is different now. It is softer and more elegant than your natural speaking. It is a professional voice, learned through observation and practice. Charles Wilson, he introduced himself and responded with a slight bow. It might not be his real name. Many customers use aliases. But this is not important. Would you like some snacks, Mr. Wilson? Mrs. Cartwright pointed at the small bar counter you had wiped before and asked. "A glass of cherry wine or brandy, if you like." This is part of the ceremony. The offering of beverages creates the illusion of a social visit rather than a commercial transaction. Most men are willing to use this period of time to evaluate women. If they are new, they can be given a chance to relax. He said that the most popular was sherry, and then Mrs. Cartwright began to pour the wine. Her movements were elegant and confident. Take this opportunity to study him more carefully. His clothes are of good quality, but there are signs of wear and tear. A businessman who does well, but not an excessive one. His hands were a little rough, and his nails were clean but neatly trimmed. Even when wearing business attire, sometimes one still has to work with both hands. Perhaps it's a merchant or a shopkeeper who still helps with inventory. Mrs. Cartwright handed him the amber liquid and Ben left carefully. "I'm leaving first. Let the two of you get to know each other. If you are ready, the blue room can be used." Having said that, she slipped out of the living room and gently closed the door. Now only the two of you are standing a few feet away in a quiet room. The fire in the grate crackled gently, emitting changing light on the wall. Outside, you can hear the deep sounds of London, a passing carriage, people's calls, and the distant whistle of a train. "Please sit down," you said, pointing to an armchair by the stove. "Don't be so restrained." He did as told, sitting stiffly on the edge of his seat, very nervous. "Then sit on the chair opposite you, skillfully adjust your skirt. Don't get too close, give him space, and don't appear too eager. Dance has its own steps and rhythms. Is this your first time at Mrs. Cartwright's store?" you ask, even though you already know the answer. He took a sip of the cherry before answering. "Is it that obvious?" You just smiled slightly. "Not at all. I just haven't had the chance to keep you company before, and I know all our regular customers." This seemed to make him relax a little. He leaned back in the chair, and his stiff shoulders softened. "Yes, this is my first time. A business partner recommended this address, saying it was worthy of respect. It's this word again, respectable. It is very important in this society. This thing tout makes the unacceptable acceptable, allowing people like Mr. Wilson to visit such places without having to admit what they are really doing. Mrs. Cartwright runs a decent house. Do you agree? You will find that everything here is cautious and tasteful." He nodded and took another sip of the cherry. You noticed that his hand is now more steady. With the establishment of familiar social patterns, the initial awkwardness is fading away. Although the nature of this interaction is illegal, it follows completely unpredictable rules. "And you, Miss Mary, aren't you? Have you been here for a long time?" This is a common problem. Part is curiosity, Part is an assessment of your experience level, and part is an attempt to make this feel like a normal conversation. It's been almost 2 years, and you would answer. The truth of this matter needs no further elaboration. Such a conversation lasted for several minutes. A lightened objective topic, the weather, the recent exhibition held at the Crystal Palace, and a vague discussion of his business as a tea and spice importer. Don't be too personal nor too revealing. As long as you establish the smallest connection, you can easily transition from a stranger to the next person. Observe him while he is speaking and pay attention to the details. This will help you provide what he wants. His attitude was restrained but not cold. His gaze was fixed on you with firmness, lacking the passion of some men. He looks very lonely. Maybe he is a widower, or his wife has been ill for a long time. What she seeks is not only physical release, but also the warmth of humanity. When he finishes his sherry, you sense that the time has come. The initial conversation achieved its goal. The real problem must be solved now. Mr. Wilson, would you like to find a quiet place to continue our conversation? You ask, and your voice is gentle. He put down the empty cup and nodded. Yes, I think I will. You stand up from the chair and feel the smooth muscles in your legs moving. When you find your balance, make a slight adjustment. The fire warms the room and your body feels relaxed and comfortable. When you reached out your hand to him, it wasn't a request but just a suggestion. This way. Then when he was standing, he briefly held your hand and then let it go. You led him out of the living room, through the corridor and up the stairs. The blue room is on the first floor and especially designed for daytime visitors. It is not a private space for any girl. The room is simply decorated but very comfortable. There is a big bed, a washed stand and a small drawer cabinet with necessities inside. This deal itself is not sketching. Mr. Wilson is very polite and not rude. He is very grateful for this warmth and attention. After paying, he stayed for a full hour, although physical activity only took up a small part of the time. The rest of the time was spent in quiet conversation, with his head resting on your shoulder and your hand gently stroking his hair. This is also part of what he bought. The illusion of intimacy, the illusion of being cared for. When the time came, Mrs. Cartwright had an alarm clock in the corridor that would tell the time, so there was no need for an awkward reminder. He gets dressed quickly, but not in a hurry. There was a kind of dignity in his movements. Even in the most inappropriate situation, he tried to remain proper. "Thank you," he said simply as he was about to leave. "He will put an extra coin in your hand as a tip to express his gratitude." "You are so kind." "It's my pleasure," you reply. This professional term emerged naturally, but in this case, it is not completely untrue. As for customers, Mr. Wilson is considerate, clean and simple. In this life, that was a wonderful encounter. You led him to the stairs and Mrs. Winters appeared as if by magic to escort him downstairs. The butler would carefully see him out to make sure he wouldn't encounter anyone coming in. Maintaining the illusion of privacy and exclusivity is very important for a house's reputation. Once he leaves, you go back to the blue room. Now it's the part of the work that the client can't see. Clean up and get ready for the next visitor. You efficiently pulled the used bed sheets off the bed, tied them up and sent them for washing. From your chest, you take out a new one, skillfully flick it out, and then place it on the mattress. The pillowcase has also been changed. Put the used one in the laundry pile. At the laundry counter, you thoroughly wash yourself with the provided cloth and water. This is not only important for hygiene, but also for your own sense of separation between encounters. Every customer is unique, and every interaction is inclusive. There is a kind of ritual that helps to maintain boundaries. The used water was poured into the small bucket below the stands and later out by Becky. Refill the basin from the large pitcher to make sure everything is ready for the next use. The towel was straightened and the small pieces of soap were placed back on the plate. Finally, you examine your appearance in front of the mirror hanging on your chest. Your hair is a little sparse. You use your fingers to do some deaf-mute movements to repair it. There is a small wrinkle on your clothes where Mr. Wilson ungrabbed from. Smooth it out with your palm. Your face looks at you, unchanged. The same eyes, the same mouth, and still you. The moment the customer left was strangely quiet. Pauses between actions, breaths between words. You allow yourself to just stand there for a while, feeling the solid floor beneath your feet, listening to the faint sounds of the house, the ticking of the clock, the clicking of the kitchen in the distance, and the low voices downstairs. Your breathing enters a natural rhythm. Inhale through your nose and exhale through your mouth. When you are tense and relaxed, your shoulders will droop slightly. This is also part of the job. Learn to let go and don't carry one encounter into the next. The simple present. That's it. The clock in the corridor struck 3 o'clock. We were moving forward in the afternoon. You packed up a bundle of used linen, left the blue room and closed the door behind you. The clothes to be washed go down the stairs, at the back to the dishwashing room, where they join the growing pile of clothes prepared for the people coming tomorrow. In the kitchen, you find Lily and Emily sitting at the table sharing a pot of tea. When you go in, I will look up at you. Wilson, Lily asked, pushing a clean cup in front of you. He is new here, isn't he? You nodded and poured yourself some tea. It looks not bad. I think he's a widower. Team urchin. This kind of exchange is very common, sharing customer information, especially that of new customers. Part as gossip, part as practicality. Knowing the expectations for each visitor will make the work easier and safer. It's much better than my afternoon, Emily said with a wry smile. Old Mr. Peterson is here again. As usual, he wants to spend 45 minutes talking about the snuff ETS he has collected, and then 5 minutes, the most mechanical one. Well, you know, and it always smells bad with lozenges. He's terrible. You smiled sympathetically and sat on the chair with a cup of tea in hand. The sturdy wooden seat feels great under you and can support your weight when you stand up. At least he reacted quickly to this part. These small favors, Emily laughed heartily in agreement. This kind of friendship is one of the unexpected benefits in life. Here among the women, there is a sense of unity and a common understanding. Despite the highly competitive nature of the work, connections have been established. You can talk freely to each other, which is something outsiders can't do. No need for explanation. No need for defense. No need for justification. Just accept the reality you share. Behind the cool blue room, the kitchen is warm and comfortable. The chef is preparing vegetables for dinner. The rhythmic sound of her knife on the chopping board created a soothing backdrop for the conversation. The air was filled with the aroma of toasted bread. The second batch of dinner, but days for tonight. You took a sip of the tea and felt its warmth spread throughout your chest. This is good tea. Another room is a small luxury item. Mrs. Cartwright understood that girls who had no worries about food and clothing earned more and caused fewer problems. The food here is quite ordinary but very abundant. A little comfort is enough to generate loyalty. Has anyone else made a reservation for this afternoon? You asked, reaching for a piece of seed cake on the plate in the center of the table. Lily shook her head. A quiet day. Sarah had a partner before, and Josephine was still resting after following the doctor's advice. Mrs. Cartwright works as an accountant in the office. A quiet afternoon is not a bad thing. In any case, the real business takes place at night, when regular customers come here after the office closes, or when a gentleman spends an evening at the club seeking entertainment. Afternoons tend to be slow and more unpredictable. Break off a small piece of the seed cake and enjoy its rich and slightly sweet texture. Cook gave up these simple foods. There's nothing fancy, but it's done very well with good raw materials. Caraway seeds add a unique flavor, aroma and a hint of spiciness. After you finished eating the cake, you said, I might go out for a while. I need some hairpins and letter paper. Does anyone want to buy something from the store? It is allowed and even encouraged to do small things in quiet times. Mrs. Cartwright believes that fresh air is beneficial and that occasionally looking at normal life can help girls feel satisfied with their situation. As long as you come back before the start of tonight, I have no objection. Both Lily and Emily turned down the invitation to shop. So after drinking tea, you go upstairs to get your scarf and wallet. This small leather bag contains your personal money, the tip given by the customer. In addition to the expenses for food and accommodation, Mrs. Cartwright also provides a small amount of pocket money every week. It's not much, but it's enough to buy some small things and treat guests occasionally. Your shawl is made of woolen dark blue. Though it's a bit plain, it's very warm. Nothing can make you different from other professional women when shopping. You wrap it around your shoulder and feel its familiar weight come down. Wool has a slight hoarseness around your neck, but in a pleasant way, it gives you a sensation on your body. The street outside was crowded with afternoon activities. The delivery van rumbled along the cobblestone road. The servant runs errands for his employer. Street vendors are hawking their goods. You have joined this flow of human nature. An anonymous person dressed in simple clothes and wearing a scarf. No one can guess your occupation. You are just another young woman busy with her own affairs. There is a kind of freedom in anonymity, in these short trips to daily life. Walking at one's own pace and choosing one's own direction is a simple pleasure. When you walk on an uneven road, your muscles will work smoothly. Your breathing will naturally deepen with practice. After coming out of the closed and warm room, the cool breeze on the face felt very good. That's your first stop. A small store, sandwiched between a green vending machine and a binding machine. When you enter, the bell on the door jingles. The hostess raises her head from her work, her glasses resting on her nose. "Good afternoon, miss," she said. Neutral but not friendly. "Is there anything I can do for you today?" "Hairpin, please," you answer. "Black, medium minus sized." She nodded and reached out to take a small box from under the counter. "Pay dozen pints. The quality is very good. These won't bend or deform like the cheaper ones. Count the coins carefully. It's not that money is particularly tight now, but the habit of saving has been deeply rooted." The host dropped the hairpin in a small paper bag and nodded formally across the counter. "The next one is a stationery store 3 blocks away. Here you bought a small pack of letter paper, envelopes and a new pencil." The elderly man who serves you is more talkative than the well-dressed woman. She will comment on the weather and ask if you want to buy a newspaper to correspond with your lover. You smile and give an uncertain answer, playing the role of a respected young woman with a perfect belief. These small interactions with the outside world have their unique pleasures. Pretend to be normal and temporarily escape from your real environment. During these few minutes of walking along these streets, you can be anyone. A salesperson, a tutor, or a daughter running errands for her family. That fantasy has its limitations and boundaries. There was a pale ring on his finger, which was the one he had just taken off. The following conversation is predictable. Light-hearted social topics give way to more personal observations. The gradual introduction of flirting elements. A subtle shift from speaking to touching. Your body will automatically perform its function. The right expression, an appropriate response to his increasingly bold praise, a carefully designed physical approach, encouragement rather than making too many promises too early. Finally, the moment when the conversation in the living room achieved its goal arrived. Just like a carefully rehearsed play, all the couples reached this point within minutes. As if people got up from the chairs and sofas and walked towards the corridors and stairs. Each girl leads her customer to the corresponding room. The encounter with Edward was unremarkable, neither particularly pleasant nor particularly difficult. He is too influenced by alcohol to waste time into traditional to make any unusual demands. When everything was over, he began to doze off. His breathing was deep and regular, lying beside you, on the crumpled bed. Lie quietly for a while and give yourself a short break. The room is very warm because of the fire and recent activities. The air was filled with the sense of sex, cologne and lavender water. It began to rain outside again, irregularly hitting the window. The distant sound pierced through the entire house. Voices, laughter, and the sound of the floor as someone walks through the corridor. Your body will sense these familiar sensations. After your skin becomes slightly sticky, the special muscle awareness brought about by this activity gradually returns to normal breathing. It's not an unpleasant feeling, but just a physical reality, a true reaction of your body under professional performance. Edward moved beside you. Ed woke up from his deep sleep. "Oh," he said. He was confused for a moment. "I must apologize." "Not at all," you assured him, and that professional voice returned calmly. He looked very calm. "I don't want to disturb you." He smiled, and the kind explanation for his brief mistake relieved him. The consequences follow the usual pattern. A brief and slightly awkward conversation, carefully separating the body, and methodically collecting the scattered clothes. You helped him tie a tie, but your fingers were effened by the familiar knot. He sincerely thanks you because of this small service, because of the larger service before, and because of the entire construction experience, which has brought him back to a normal life, met some of his needs, and kept his self-minus image intact. Once he's gone, you'll start your familiar daily routine, fixing, washing clothes, changing bed sheets, and tidying up the room. Body movements are automatic and require almost no conscious thinking. Your body knows these movements and performs them with economic elegance. When your thoughts are drifting in the quiet aftermath, it's a long day. You realize that from waking up in the morning to different stages, household chores, doctor visits, afternoon clients, evening preparations, and multiple nights of clients, each one requires different aspects of yourself, different levels of attention and performance. All the accumulated weight of this time, all these interactions, settle in your consciousness and become a profound physical and mental fatigue. This particular kind of fatigue is not an unpleasant feeling. This is a sense of satisfaction. Work done, income comes in, and challenges are easily overcome. Your body feels fully utilized but not abused. Your heart is tired, but not troubled. It's just the natural exhaustion that follows continuous effort and attention. The body and brain send signals that rest is needed now. Technically speaking, the clock in the corridor had already rung in the morning, although from any practical perspective, it was still the depth of the night. The rain continued to gently tap on the window. At this moment, rumbling thunder came from afar, and a real storm was developing from its sound. You have completed the repair of the room. Let's check your appearance for the last time. This blue silk dress undoubtedly shows the effect of a long night. A small crease has appeared, slightly loose, carefully assembled. Despite repeated adjustments, some of your hair still comes off the hairpins, and the delicate makeup has worn out completely. It's still decent, but the perfect image of the evening has long since vanished. Back downstairs, you found the living room empty, with only Mrs. Cartwright sitting in her usual chair, taking some notes in her account book. When you came in, she raised her head. Her shrewd eyes recognized your appearance at a glance. "I think that's all for tonight, Mary," she said, her voice showing her own fatigue for the first time. "The last few gentlemen have all left. At this point, I don't expect more people, especially when the weather has changed." Hearing these words, you felt a sense of relief. Allow yourself to finish a day's work, should your professional image return to your real bed and truly rest. "Thank you, Mrs. Cartwright. Do you need my help before going up?" She shook her head and closed the book resolutely. "It's not necessary. Mrs. Winters has fixed the doors and windows. Cook will deal with things in the morning as usual." She stood up and automatically and precisely smoothed her purple silk. "Well, good night." "Good night, Mrs. Cartwright." This brief exchange marks the official end of the working day and the transition back to private existence. You climbed the stairs to the top floor, and each step was a little more strenuous than a few hours ago. Your body is ready to rest. The fatigue accumulated throughout the day is now fully revealed, and the demand for work has come to a halt. The bedroom you share with Lily welcomes you with its familiar simplicity. No customer has ever been here. This is purely private space, the only place in the house that belongs only to you and your roommate. Two narrow beds, covered with pure cotton sheets and wool blankets. A small box is used to store the clothes you wear during the day and some purse and all items. There is an ordinary earthenware basin on the wash basin instead of the exquisite porcelain in the customer's room. Lily was already sitting on her bed, in her pajamas, slowly and warily combing her long hair. When you walked in, she raised her head and smiled, expressing her understanding of your shared life. "Have you finished eating tonight?" she asked. "Keep brushing your teeth." "Yes, thank God." Mrs. Cartwright said that was all. When the storm came, you began to take off your clothes. Even though you were very tired, your fingers still worked automatically on the buttons and hooks. "How was your evening?" She shrugged her shoulders. This gesture was simple and clear. "Usually, it's nothing remarkable. I made quite a lot of money, though the last sum was quite generous." This minimal exchange of information is sufficient. You all understand the reality behind these brief words, condensing complex experiences into these simple phrases. This kind of shared knowledge makes people feel comfortable and does not require explanation or elaboration. That blue silk dress looks relaxed and at ease when taken off. Tight fitting clothes are even more satisfying. Your lungs fully expand for the first time within a few hours because restrictive clothes are set aside. The cool air in the bedroom feels great on your skin. This is a kind of small pleasure that belongs entirely to you. The following pajamas are made of pure cotton and have been washed many times. They are very old and soft. Its familiar embrace surrounds you like a blessing. Comfortable and emending, no need for performance or disguise. You untangle your hair and let it loosely drape over your shoulders. Then brush your hair clean like Lily did. Repeated caressing is soothing. A slight pull on your scalp, a pleasant feeling, helps release the tension of the last day. Have you ever wondered what that would be like? Lily suddenly asked. In the brightly lit room, her voice was very calm. A different life. This question won't surprise you. Such philosophical reflections in the dead of night are not uncommon, especially when fatigue relaxes the normal restrictions on these thoughts. While brushing your teeth, you are thinking about your answer, or sometimes you admit it. But later I remembered the true feeling. Hungry, cold, and always afraid of being sent to a poorhouse. At least we ate very well here. We are warm. We can take control of our own lives. She nodded and accepted this practical assessment. I think that's it, isn't it? It's not about being good or bad, it's just that different prices have to be paid. Yes, you agree. Put down your brush. Different prices. This little moment of mutual reflection felt very valuable. The admission of reality. You are all sailing, neither romanticism nor despair. Merely having a clear understanding of the true face of the world and the choices of women, like you at this time and place. When you were all ready to sleep, the conversation began to turn to more direct matters. Morning's plan, a reminder for laundry day. People are speculating whether this storm will affect the delivery tomorrow. Ordinary worry, domestic details, the fixed minor details in daily life. Finally, I'm ready. You turned off the light and got into bed. The bedsheet is cool at first and gradually warms up as your body's heat increases. The mattress is filled with horsehair and is a bit uneven, but it is very comfortable for your tired body. You move a little and find a perfect position where everything is just right. This is much better. Outside, the storm has intensified. The rain kept hitting the window. Occasionally, gusts of wind low, causing a tingling pain. That inside it was warm, a shelter, a peaceful moment. After a long day's work, your eyes naturally close, and your breathing becomes deeper and slower. Lily's voice came gently from the darkness. In the evening, "Merry good night, Lily," you replied in a low voice. The sleepiness grew. Your words became somewhat vague. The day's events start to loosen their control over you. Specific memories gradually give way to more general impressions, feelings and sensations. The physical reality of your body in bed becomes your main consciousness. The weight of the blanket, the softness of the pillow, and the pleasure when the limbs are completely relaxed. Your breathing has found a natural sleep rhythm. Deep, slow, regular, coming and going, relaxed and calm. Every exhalation seems to make you more relaxed. Each inhalation brings you closer to the sleep state you are waiting for. Your mind becomes calm. Thoughts have become less clear and less in need of attention. The sound of the storm outside provides a perfect backdrop for sleep. The pattering of the rain, your occasional rumbling thunder in the distance, and the gentle wind in the corner of the house. The lullaby of nature, ancient yet effective. Your consciousness begins to drift in this sea of gentle sounds, through your own efforts, floating rather than swimming, carrying rather than moving. In this drowsy state, at the threshold of sleep, sometimes a kind of wisdom emerges. It is not the clarity when fully awake, nor the chaotic imagery in dreams, but something in between, a perspective that transcends the direct struggles and small victories in daily life, to see a broader pattern of human experience. Your life in this Victorian brothel is just a tiny thread in the vast tapestry of women's experiences throughout history. Difficult, yes. Its way is dangerous, morally condemned by society, while creating the conditions that make it necessary and the demands that make it profitable. But it is also a place where certain freedoms cannot be obtained elsewhere. Economic independence, no matter how limited. The unity of women, no matter how complex the competition is, controls your daily life and is constrained by greater social forces. Before you, all women found their complex paths through the same limited choices. The weight of this history makes you feel like it exists in an instant, not a burden but a companion. You are neither the first nor the last person to sail in this water area. Details may change. Fashions, specific economies, and exact social structures will all change. But some fundamental qualities of the experience will remain unchanged over time. This kind of thought will bring you a strange comfort and make you sleep deeper and deeper. Your breathing becomes slower and your body feels heavier against the mattress. And feeling very comfortable now. Let go completely. The outside world of Victoria continues its complex dance. The strict social hierarchy, profound inequality, and elaborately designed hypocrisy have made all this work. But in this room, at this moment, there is a simple reality. That is, the human body needs rest. The soul seeks the renewal of sleep, which is the most fundamental requirement for survival and has remained unchanged since the birth of humanity. As sleep approaches, your awareness of the room becomes increasingly blurred. The physical sensations on the bed, the sound of the storm, and even your awareness of your own breathing all began to fade away, just like the tide receding from the shore. All that remains is a gentle feeling of floating, a calm drift towards the unconscious. Sleep now. Immerse yourself more deeply in perfect relaxation. Your eyelids are very heavy. It's too heavy. It's too hard to open it now. Your limbs feel very comfortable. Even if you want to move them, you can't. But you don't want to. You just want to float all the way to a deep, peaceful sleep. That's it. Let go completely. This day is over. The work is done. Now you don't need to do anything else. Just rest. Pick yourself up and dream of different possibilities and different worlds. But for now, just have a good sleep. Sleep now. Sleep well. With each breath, sink slowly and enter a perfect and complete rest. There are some streets you can't walk through and some shops you can't enter. The tea room where ladies meet their friends is not for you. The spire of the church carries a judgmental turn, as if following you with invisible eyes. Even if you are anonymous, someone will remind you of your location. Your last stop is the bakery, where you can fully enjoy a small luxury, jam tarts. The crust is still slightly warm, and the strawberry filling is sweet and rich. You walk and eat as you go, savoring each bite carefully and licking a little jam on your finger with simple pleasure. A little joy, instant satisfaction. That is the currency of this life. The way home is rather slow and winding. You're not in a hurry. After spending a morning indoors, this kind of activity makes people feel great. Your body moves very easily. Muscles work in a familiar pattern. The joints bend and stretch with each step. This is the satisfaction of a basic function. This is a physical ability. Your lungs are sometimes full and sometimes empty. Your heartbeat is stable. Your eyes see the intricate visual tapestries on the streets of London. Just exist. Just exist. When you got home, it was almost evening in the afternoon. The quality of the light is changing. The shadows are stretching, and the air before sunset presents a special golden hue. You open the front door with the key. Each girl was trusted and well managed by Mrs. Cartwright and then returned to the warm room. This house feels different now. Preparations for the evening filled with subtle energy are underway. You can hear some movement upstairs. The calls between rooms. This transformation began to shift from the quiet daytime rhythm to the busy nighttime rhythm. Mrs. Winters stopped you in the corridor. The usual gentle expression of opposition appeared on her pragmatic face. Here you are. Mrs. Cartwright wants everyone to be ready by 7 p.m. tonight. We received several messages. It might be very busy tonight. When you nodded, you had already adjusted your plan in your heart. Then I'll start preparing. Did the chef say when the meal was ready? 5:30. Because of the reservation, it's a bit earlier tonight. She looked at the small package in your hand. You got what you wanted, didn't you? Yes. Thank you. You take the paper package containing the hairpin as evidence. She nodded in satisfaction and continued walking towards the kitchen, her keys jingling gently on her waist. Mrs. Winters doesn't dislike you. Her approach is fair, but her status needs to be somewhat restrained, keeping a distance from those girls she helps, that does not participate in the work with. Upstairs atmosphere is a purposeful activity. All the doors in the corridor are open. The girls walked around the rooms, borrowed things and gave suggestions to each other. The preparations for the evening involve both individual and collective efforts. Every woman is responsible for her appearance, but everyone helps each other deal with the parts that are hard for them to handle. In your room, you find that Lily's evening dress is already half worn and she is struggling to button up the back of the green silk dress. You put down what you had bought, walked over to help her, and nimbly pressed those tiny fabric buttons with your fingers. "Thank you," she said with relief. Mrs. Winters said, "It might be very busy here. I think I have to go first." "Good idea." You complete the last button and take a step back to evaluate the effect. "This green one suits you very well. Set off your eyes." She turned around and examined herself in front of the small mirror, patting her hair, which had been carefully styled with burrowed hairpins to add volume. "Don't you think it won't be to fancy?" "Not at all. Elegant yet a minor sketching." "Perfect." This exchange of praise and comfort is another part of the preparatory ceremony. An evening dress is a kind of clothing, a uniform that suits the roles you will play in the future, more refined than what you wear during the day, more revealing in some aspects, but still within a certain range of taste. Mrs. Cartwright doesn't approve of wearing fancy clothes in low-minus class places. There is no bright red or excessive cosmetics here. Lily leaves to finish her preparations elsewhere, and you start your own transformation. First of all, a more thorough cleaning than Mr. Wilson's subsequent quick cleaning. The water in the basin is very cold now, but when you splash it on your face and neck, you will feel refreshed. Then, wipe the other parts of your body with a piece of cloth. The cold has caused small bumps on your skin, which is a kind of vitality that is not unpleasant. You take out your evening dress from the box. A deep blue silk dress, slightly faded but still elegant. This color matches your black hair and eyes very well. This kind of cut can not only highlight your figure, but also won't look too alluring. This is one of the 3 such dresses you have. Rotate carefully to prolong its wear. For this profession, good clothes are an investment. They have attracted a better customer base. Demand a higher price. Dressing is an orderly process. First up are fresh undergarments, delicate cotton undergarments and drawers, which is another kind of small luxury, completely different from the rough fabrics you had when you were a tailor. Then there is the corset. You can tie it tight at the front, then turn it around and tighten laces. Don't be too tight. You need to breathe comfortably and move freely, but it should be enough to shape a fashionable silhouette. The petticoat follows closely behind, adding volume to the skirt of the last blue dress. Just like the final layer of a complex dessert, there is a sense of satisfaction in the process of constructing and creating an image. The sensations in your body make you feel grounded. The slight restraint of the corset at your waist, the swish sound of the petticoat on your legs, and the smooth and cool touch of silk on your arms. Hair is the next. You take off the simple knot of the day and brush away the waves of darkness until they shine. Use the newly bought hair clips immediately when you make a more detailed arrangement. And like what ladies do, it is neat and decent, with soft curly hair outlining your face and securing your hair at the back of your head. A gentle application of cosmetics completed this transformation. There's nothing obvious. Mrs. Cartwright insisted on a natural appearance. Just a little rice flour can make your complexion smooth. Mix the rouge on the cheeks and lips carefully to avoid any artificial appearance. The effect is subtle but effective. Enhance your natural features a little. Radiate a fresh and healthy glow. The last point is the smell. It's not a strong perfume, but a delicate lavender water. Gently apply it to the pulse points, the wrists behind the ears, and the depressions in the throat. The fragrance rises subtly as your body warms up, a clean and pleasant aroma masking any lingering traces of the day's activities. Take a step back and evaluate the result in front of the mirror. The transformation from an ordinary professional woman to a more elegant and charming one is complete. To be exact, she's not a lady. That novel is not credible. But a woman has a certain appeal, a special charm, is worth spending time with, and is worth paying for. The clock in the corridor rang for dinner at 5:30. As you walked down the stairs, the silk dress rustled with each step. The slightly increased weight of the evening dress alters your posture, your movements, straightens your back and makes your steps more proportionate. Physical differences intensify the psychological transformation from the private self to a professional role. Dinner is served in the restaurant rather than in the kitchen. This is another difference between day and night. The table was set simply and appropriately, with clean linen and decent tableware. Mrs. Cartwright was having dinner with the girls, sitting at the head of the table in her deep purple silk evening dress. Her appearance lifted the atmosphere and strengthened the standards she had expected. The food is ordinary, but very rich. A sumptuous beef is served with a generous amount of vegetables, freshly baked hot bread, and raisin rice pudding as dessert. A good food to fill your stomach provides energy for the following evening. The wine was also served, 1 cup for each person. It was enough to create a pleasant warmth, but not enough to make people sluggish. The conversation at the dining table was very relaxed. Before the individual work and the evening begins, sharing dinner is a collective moment. You find yourself sitting between Sarah and Emily, with Lily opposite you. Josephine is not here and is still resting as prescribed by the doctor. I heard that Mr. Henderson might come tonight, Emily said, breaking off a piece of bread. I haven't seen him for several weeks. Sarah nodded and picked up a piece of beef with her fork. Go on a business trip to Glasgow. Obviously, his regular activity was last Thursday. This kind of information exchange runs through the entire dining process. Who will come? Who didn't come? Who might be regular customers? This part is professional preparation, and the other part is ordinary gossip about any workplace. The people you serve have become characters in a common story, with their habits and preferences, as well as shared knowledge. Mrs. Cartwright listened more than she spoke. Occasionally, she would correct a detail or add some information that the girls didn't know. Her role is very complex. Employers, protectors, discipline enforcers, and sometimes even mentors. She keeps a certain distance from me, but her management is not cruel. There is no unnecessary roughness. At the end of dinner, she spoke to the table. As Mrs. Winters mentioned, we have a few confirmed guests tonight and there might be more last-minute guests. Mr. Harrington specifically requested that Mr. Emily Lawrence and Mr. Benson be around 8 o'clock. Prefer open to anyone who is available. There might be others. Several text messages hinted that a visit might be made. She paused for a moment, her gaze sweeping over the table. I hope everyone can behave properly as usual. Remember, it is the quantity of service, not the quantity, that maintains our reputation. This brief speech is both a reminder and an encouragement. The subtext is very clear. A busy night means that everyone has a good income. However, standards must not slip in the pursuit of maximum profit. This is the difference between this house and the others, the balance between business and certain principles. When Betsy and Cook cleared the plates, Mrs. Cartwright stood up, which meant the evening's public service was over. I will be in the office for the next hour and then receive guests in the living room. Good evening, ladies. Having said that, she left, her purple silk making an impressive rustling sound as she departed. The girls stayed at the table for a while longer, finished their drinks, prolonged this last period of relatively free time, and then really started working. You took the last sip of the wine, relishing the fruity warmth that slid down your throat. Your body feels relaxed, full and well minus prepared for what's to come. This chair makes you very comfortable. The warmth of the restaurant surrounds you like an embrace. This moment of tranquility before the evening activities has its own unique serenity. Your breathing is deep and even. Your mind is calm and focused. Just this moment, just this one experience, nothing more. Gradually, the girls scattered and returned to their rooms to make the final preparations. Go to the living room to pack up things. Go to the kitchen to have the last cup of tea. And then the evening begins. You sat for a while longer, enjoying this small patch of silence and the accelerating rhythm of the house. Finally, you also stood up. While you were standing, you felt the slight weight of the silk dress falling around you. Your muscles move smoothly. Your balance will be adjusted automatically. The sensations of your body anchor you within it. Straighten your shoulders, Slightly lift your chin, and get ready. The night stretched all the way ahead, and its exact shape remained unknown. There will be customers, some familiar and some new. There will be manifestations of charm, interest, and desire. These physical behaviors are the truly sold goods. Casual chats and silences, unexpected connections, or moments of estrangement. But all of this is yet to come. Now it's just this transition, the movement from one state to another. You walk towards the living room, where the first act of the night will begin. Your steps are even and your breathing is steady. Lands gently takes each step, softly accompanying your movements. As you walk, your hand gently moves along the wall, feeling the fine texture of the wallpaper beneath your fingertips. Existing, being aware, concentrating on your body in this moment. Just like that, relaxed and calm. The living room has been renovated for the evening activities. The thick curtains were drawn to block out the night, lightened just the gas lamp to create a warm and endearing glow. The raging fire dispelled the perennial coldness of London. On a small table was a bottle of cherry wine and several cups, with a plate of sugar almonds and some small biscuits beside it. When you went in, Sarah was already there. She was sitting skillfully on a sofa. Her evening dress was deep purplish red, which matched her fair complexion very well. Her blonde hair was carefully combed with small pearl pins. When you approached her, she raised her head. "You look good," she said, evaluating your appearance with a professional eye. "Blue sets off your eyes." "Thank you," you replied, and sat down in one of the armchairs. "The interior decoration is a bit worn out, but it's still very comfortable. The velvet is smooth in your hand. Be quiet and still." She nodded. Mrs. Cartwright said that the first appointment wouldn't start until 8 o'clock. She adjusted the wrinkles of her dress and smoothed out the thick fabric with her skilled hands. "It might start a bit slow, but it will be very busy later. It's the end of the month. Gentlemen have just received their salaries." This practical observation reminds you of Sarah's background. Before entering this life, she worked as a clerk in a fabric store and still had a sharp mind about numbers and business models. This is why Mrs. Cartwright sometimes entrusted the account books to her. While you were waiting, the conversation gradually shifted to ordinary topics. A new store has opened nearby. Speculation about whether Puck's persistent cough requires medical attention. Will the cold goods arrive as scheduled tomorrow? Normal issues, family affairs, conversations that can occur in any family. Gradually, the living room was crowded with other girls. Emily was wearing light green silk, which formed a beautiful contrast with her dark curly hair. Lily highlights her brown hair and fair skin with her rich emerald. Even though Josephine showed up, although she was strictly required not to entertain guests tonight, she just sat in the living room to accompany and chat, building relationships that might lead to future business. Mrs. Winters brought tea, which was another part of the evening ceremony. Unlike the ordinary ceramic mugs used during the day, evening tea is served in suitable porcelain cups, which are very thin and can emit light when lifted. The tea itself is the same, but the arrangement of the tea water elevates the quality of the tea and creates the refined atmosphere that Mrs. Cartwright insists on. You pick up the cup and feel its weight in your hand. The warmth seeps through the exquisite porcelain to your fingers. When you sip, the rim of the cup is smooth towards your lips. The familiar smell is both comforting and stimulating. This ritualistic drinking, when held carefully and consumed in moderation, will help you get into the right mindset for the evening. Every tiny movement is considered controlled and conscious. The conversation revolved around you, providing a pleasant backdrop for your own thoughts. Your body feels relaxed and alert, ready for the evening's work instead of being tense or anxious. The corset offers gentle support. Subtoes give a comfortable feeling when pressed against the skin. You are aware of your posture, maintaining the elegant lines you have trained for the past 2 years. Keep your back straight but not stiff. Lean your shoulders back and lift your chin slightly. The clock in the corridor struck 8 times, and its chimes echoed throughout the house. Almost simultaneously, there was a knock on the front door. The first guest of the night has arrived. Mrs. Cartwright appeared at the living room door, her purple silk making an impressive rustling sound as she walked. "Emily, Mr. Harrington is here. He is particularly looking for you." Emily nodded slightly, put down the teacup, stood up gracefully and followed the lady. The transaction will take place in the lady's private office. Exchange money, make clear demands under established boundaries. Then Emily would escort Mr. Harrington upstairs to her room, not the blue room for the daytime guests, but her own private space, which was prepared with fresh linen and extra luxury for the evening guests. The small bottle of fresh flowers, a bottle of cologne, and perhaps a few drops of sesame oil in the lamp, let the air exude a subtle fragrance. The remaining women continued their quiet conversation, but now their energy had changed. The party officially began. At any moment, there is a possibility of knocking on the door again, bringing in another client and another task. Sure enough, less than 10 minutes later, there was another knock on the door. This time it was Sarah who was summoned. Mr. Lawrence is a frequent visitor to him. He comes every other Tuesday and is very punctual. After Sarah left, Lily moved closer to you, her voice very low. I heard from Cook that a new gentleman is coming tonight. He looks very rich and is a banker, or something like that. Mrs. Cartwright is very particular and insists on serving the best sherry. This kind of information is valuable, knowing what will happen and being able to prepare the right methods. Different customers want different things, and this is not always related to physical behavior. Some people need to talk, some need sympathy, and some need praise. In this profession, identifying what each person really pursues beyond the obvious is a key skill. Did she say anything else about him? You asked just as calmly. Lily shook her head. It was only said that he was new here, but he was recommended by someone trusted by Mrs. Cartwright. The conversation was interrupted again by a knock on the door. This time Mrs. Cartwright is calling your name. You put down the teacup, polished your dress and stood up gracefully. Your muscles respond smoothly, and your movements are measured and well, minus considered. When you reach the door, you notice the slight swaying of the skirt and the subtle movement of the silk on the petticoat. Take every step steadily and keep your balance. In the corridor, Mrs. Cartwright is waiting with a gentleman you don't know. He is very tall, probably approaching 40, with an air of affluence and a confident posture accustomed to authority. His clothes are of superior quality, not freshy but expensive in cut, with a low-minus elegance, demonstrating true wealth rather than ambition. Mary, this is Mr. Hamilton, Mrs. Cartwright said calmly. Mr. Hamilton, allow me to introduce Mary, one of our most accomplished young ladies. You slightly bent your knees, smiled and stretched out your hand. Nice to meet you, Mr. Hamilton. He briefly held your hand, tightly but without any aggression. His eyes, grey and sharp, assess you with obvious appreciation, but without the obvious learning qualities that some men show. I'm sure it's my honor. Mrs. Cartwright made a small gesture towards her office. Please come here, Mr. Hamilton, and deal with the business details. Mary, maybe you can wait for me in the living room. This is the standard procedure. The financial arrangements of the two had never been discussed in front of the girl, which made it seem like a social event rather than a business transaction. He nodded and went back to the living room, while they vanished into the office. When you entered again, Lily raised her eyebrows in puzzlement. The new one. Yes, you confirm. Please restore your seat. It seems to be a respected type. Anchor a lawyer? I guessed it from your dress and behavior. She nodded, understanding the wordless evaluation. Different types of men require different approaches. Respected people often need more elaborate disguises, more conversations, more courtship rituals, and more guarantees, which to some extent is different from direct monetary exchange services. A few minutes later, Mrs. Cartwright returned to the living room with Mr. Hamilton by her side. Mary, please take Mr. Hamilton to your room. I believe you will find that you have a lot in common. This is the way she conveys specific requirements.